Today I'm looking at 6 tools to help you paint a room faster and better. There's 2 more. Most paint jobs start with cutting in, and so we'll test one of those tools first, and that is the edge trimmer. So this is supposed to make it faster, and also you think the packaging even says it eliminates the need for tape. These little rollers were kind of all out of whack, and I had to pull them out and put them back in there, and it just doesn't look like it's going to roll real smooth. So I don't know. Let's just try it out. All right, I'm going to load this thing up, and like I said, we've never used one before. They say just to dip it in there, and now we can roll it on the wall. All right, let's see how it works. Okay, going back up. So first thoughts, obviously you probably need to get this loaded up because that first streak was not good at all, but when I came back by, it's kind of okay, but it's definitely still streaky, and there's a lot of paint built up on the edge here, which is going to cause a problem if I don't brush that out and make it kind of flow in. So I'm going to load it up with a little bit more paint and go through it again, and then we'll look at it after I get this whole side done. All right, I got a lot more paint on here this time. Let's see how this works. You really got to rub that thing in there. All right, so the edge painter, my first impressions, I do not like it. And it did put a lot of paint on the wall, but the problem is that it got paint on the trim that did not come from the rollers. It actually came from the pad here. Also, it had a lot of paint buildup right on the edge here. And when it dried, it left a ridge, which I'm gonna have to either sand down or I'd have to brush it out anyway if I was doing it while the paint was still wet. One area this is definitely not good at is up against a corner and like this chair rail because you can't really get it going. And at the end, you're gonna have to use a brush anyway. And then lastly, it's just a little bit streaky because you're just going up and down and not left to right. So it kind of had little spots where it was a little more dry than the others. So this one is from Behr. Love their paint, but I'm not digging the roller. And there's lots of different varieties out there, and my assumption is gonna be they're pretty much all the same. I like to think that I know how to paint pretty well because I used to own rentals when I was younger. I've probably painted over 200 rooms in my lifetime. So if I can't figure it out, the average person probably won't be able to figure it out either. But if I got something wrong, let me know in the comments. All right, the second tool that we're going to check out is this little foam guy right here. And this is called the 3-inch maxi trimmer. And basically it's just a foam roller, and it's a little bit bigger than some of those little small jobbies. So it says that it will hold a lot of paint and save you a lot of time. And this is perfect to test out in spots like here where you can't use a big roller and you don't want to hand brush the whole thing. So let's see how it works. Now there are definitely some spots here that I'm going to just have to get with the brush. So I'm going to go ahead and get those. And I've got everything taped up except for the outlet cover. Day 1 of landlording school, they teach you how to paint around those. That's perfect. We call that one the landlord special. But seriously, folks, for all that is good and holy, make sure that you take off your light switches and your outlet covers before painting. So I feel like hitting areas like this, you may as well just use the brush because you've got to cut in around everything anyway, and we'll use the roller on the top and the bottom part. I've got everything cut in, and now I'm going to go in here in this little spot with the foamy and see if it does it a lot faster than brushing and if it's a better finish than the brushing, better coverage. Now the paint is dry, and I'll show you some close-ups here in a minute, but I've got to say, the little maxi trimmer, I'm digging it. It's got a lot more coverage than one of these little hot dog rollers has, just because there's a lot more foam there. It's also a coarser foam than these little rollers that I've used before. So I think that helps it hold more paint and distribute more paint as you're rolling it on. So when you look at the wall, the coverage is definitely a lot better than with the paintbrush on just one coat. Now you can see there are a few little spots, I'm not sure if that shows up on camera, but in the brushing area, you can definitely see some areas where I kind of brushed too hard and brushed away the paint. So I'm gonna give this one a thumbs up, especially if you have a lot of areas of little small patches, I would go with it. If you just have something small, you know, 1 foot by 2 foot, just brush it. But if you have a lot to do, I'd definitely pick one of these up. Now the third tool to give you faster and better paint job is this, and that is painter's tape. And this one is a bit controversial because some people love painter's tape and other people think you're a hack if you use it. Personally, I use it sometimes and sometimes I don't. And I'll tell you when and why. But one thing I think we can all agree upon is that if you use painter's tape, you are going to get a better job, but probably not a faster job. And I've never really timed myself to see how much extra time it takes to put up the tape and then how much more time it saves as you're going quickly across because you have protected your surfaces versus trying to get that line just right with the paintbrush. So I'm going to use this wall to find out. I measured this wall and it's 126 inches wide, and so I put a tape line right down the middle at 63 inches. On the left side over here, I'm going to tape the crown molding, the chair rail, as well as the baseboards. Now on the right side, I'm not going to tape anything off, and I'm going to do it by hand. We're going to see how long it takes me in between the two, and also, more importantly, we're going to check out the quality difference and see how well I can hold a line and how different it looks from the taped version. All right, I'm going to start with the left side and do the taping, and I have a laptop right here with a stopwatch on it. I'm going to let it roll through the whole thing so you can know that it's exactly the right time. This video is sponsored by Scotch Painter's Tape, and that's the painter's tape I'll be using. They have a whole family of different products for any surface that you have, and I'll be talking more about them as I go. We'll start the clock now. After cleaning all the surfaces, I started with the crown molding with the Scotch Blue Original Painter's Tape number 2090. This is a great multi-surface painter's tape, and this is the same one that DIYers and professionals have been trusting for over 30 years. Now, since I just painted the chair rail yesterday, I'm using Scotch Delicate Surface Painter's Tape number 2080. And this one is perfect for fresh paint that's been cured at least 24 hours, and it has edge lock technology to help the paint from seeping through. And on the baseboards, I'm using Scotch Blue Sharp Lines Painter's Tape number 2093. This one is great for smooth to lightly textured surfaces, just like this trim, and it also has the edge lock technology. Scotch brand has a whole family of tapes to match any surface that you want to protect. It makes getting that prep job easy so you can get your best results in your painting. Now, I'm going to have links down below in the description to all these items, and a big thank you to Scotch brand for sponsoring today's video. All right, I'm going to pause this here. 7 minutes and 19 seconds because we need to let the tape set up for about 30 minutes before we paint. So I'm going to switch over to this one and I'll come back to the 719 after I'm done. All right, now I'm going to paint as good as I can with no tape. Starting now. All right. 6 minutes and 42 seconds. So just slightly less than the time it took me to do all the taping. I'm gonna wait a few more minutes and then we'll do the tape. All right, now I'm gonna paint the tape side and I'll add whatever time is here to the 719 it took to tape, starting now. All right, 4 minutes and 9 seconds. I'm gonna clean up, let this dry a little bit, and then we'll take a look at the results. Now, of course, with tape, you do need to take it off, and I'm going to score it with a box cutter because it's now dry, cut the line, and then pull it off. So go ahead and time that too, starting now. All right, about 2.5 minutes for that. All right, so here's how it all shook out. It took me a little over 7 minutes to tape the wall over here, another 4 minutes to paint it, and another 2.5 minutes to get all of the tape off, cut it, and of course there was the drying time within there. So in total, it took me just over 14 minutes. On the other side, it took me just under 7 minutes to do the painting without any taping at all over here. Now that is just for one coat. So if we did 2 coats, it would take me another 7 minutes here, taking me to 14 minutes here, but it would only take me another 4 minutes over on this side. So if you're doing multiple coats, then actually the time is going to get a bit closer. But for one coat, it's about twice the time for painting. So you'll definitely be investing time doing the taping, but the quality results are definitely better if you're a painter like me. And I thought I was doing a really good job, but going back and inspecting the non-tape side, I definitely ran over in quite a few spots, and you can even tell it from a few feet away. If you really get up on it, you can see where I just kind of got over onto the trim. So that would need to be touched up or redone if I wanted to have it looking good, or just look how it looks. So is tape going to help you paint faster? Probably not, but it's definitely going to give you better results. If you have tape protecting your trim, it's not going to get drips or hits with a roller or a brush that might make you have to go back and touch up later. So definitely gives you a line of protection and that quality. So I'll leave that up to you, whether the tape is right for your job. For me, I'm going to keep doing the crown and the chair rails and in the baseboards. I'll do it where I really want to have a great job. Maybe in the kids' room, I'll skip the tape. So everything is cut in the room except for the corner. And this next tool, number 4, is a corner trim tool. And I kind of hesitated to buy this, but I figured it's there, and maybe people want to know about it because I can't think of an easier place to paint than the corner with a brush. It goes so fast. So yeah, it's just this little foamy bristle thing, and let's give it a try. Maybe it's going to be amazing. All right, I'm about to dip this thing in here and get going, but one thing I did notice is the way that it's got the little hairs on the top and then the little foam pad underneath. And I'm wondering if I just didn't get enough paint into the pad on that edge roller. So for this one, I'm going to make sure I get some paint into that foamy pad, and then, maybe it'll go all down in one stroke and be the best thing I've ever seen. All right, we're just going to start up here in this corner. I've got paint on there. Let me really push it in. Oh, there we go. Just going to push harder. Oh, no. I overdid it. Let me go back. This honestly was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. You definitely have to push in to get it into the actual corner. And then after, I think, the second stroke, if I had to stop, it would have actually been pretty okay. But it's still, the brush is just as fast. And how many corners do you have in a room? 4, typically, but not that many. So I'm just going to stick with the brush because painting corners is just about the easiest thing you can do. All right, now it's time to roll the walls, and tool number 5 is one that I've really been wanting to try out, and these are roller covers. I have always typically used just this standard 9-inch roller, but I've always seen the pros using this guy. Please be kind in the comments. This is an 18-incher, and this is obviously twice the size. So does it actually make it twice as fast? How hard or easy is it to use? Let's find out. So I'm going to start with both of the rollers loaded with paint. So for the 9-inch one, let's get going now. All right. 4 minutes and 15 seconds, not bad. Now, again, I know I'm not the fastest painter in the world or the best, and let me know, do you like the W's or straight up and down, or what's your favorite pattern for the walls? Let me get the 18-inch roller, we'll do this side. All right, I'm ready with the 18-incher, but first off, this bucket is massive. When you look at the size of this little 9-inch roller in it, it is just ridiculous. I've got it all loaded up as much as I can. We're gonna see how long this one takes. All right. 2 minutes and 11 seconds. So yeah, twice the size, half the time. So believe the hype, 18-inch roller is absolutely amazing. And actually one of the things that I like about it the most is you've got support on both ends. So when you have just the 9-inch roller, it's cantilevered on one end, and so you're always kind of pushing and you get more pressure on one side versus the other. With this double support, it's all even pressure, and it makes it a lot easier to get an even coat of paint. So absolutely, if you're painting a big area, get one of these. It's going to save you a ton of time. I'm definitely interested in this next one as well because I've seen a lot of pros using it. And this is a little grate that you hang over the side of a bucket instead of using a tray pan and a liner. So I can see some definite advantages over this. And I think with the speed you're going to get is not having to clean up as much because there's no tray or liner to clean up. So we're going to try this out, see how it works. Now the idea here is that it's going to act just like a tray. It has the little grate there to wipe off the paint, but instead of having to fill it up, you can go right to the source. And you don't have to be using a 5-gallon bucket worth of paint. You could pour other paints in here and then put a cap on it to save it so you don't have to go through the cleaning. But we're just going to put this right down in here. I'm assuming you can't do this on like a super full 5-gallon bucket, but maybe like in the 3 to 4 gallon range. All right, so now I can just fit the entire roller down in here, and I'm just going to go and dip it on the paint down there, distribute it, and roll it off. All right, and excuse the cardboard box over the window, filming and all. Afternoon sun, it's getting a little crazy here. All right, so let's see how much paint this actually gives. Okay. So yeah, I definitely get about the same amount of paint here. Let me go back and forth a few times and see how this feels. Even just using this in this small little section, I can already tell what I like and I don't like about this. And I gotta tell you, I am torn. So I like it. I think it's great because it's getting a lot more coverage on the roller, and this grate really just distributes it a lot better than the pan and those little ribs on the tray. And I always find myself with not enough paint in the tray because I don't want to fill it back up and see if I can get more out of it, and that leads to even less paint on the roller. So I really love it that you just have the constant source of paint with the grate. But the reason that I'm torn is because of this guy, the one she told you not to worry about. This guy is so much better at putting a ton of paint on there, and this will not fit into a 5-gallon bucket. So you'll probably want to use the grate when you're painting a larger area because it's with a 5-gallon bucket. But if you're going to be doing that, why wouldn't you just use this, and this does not fit with the grate? So I will probably be using this with the bigger tray and still have to fill it up. But now, what if we had a 10-gallon bucket? I'm so glad that red is finally... If you want to take a tour of the new property to see the rest of the house and the shop, I've got that video queued up for you right there. A big thank you to the FTBT Builders Club. I'm Brad. Get out there and build something awesome.